The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written an op-ed in newspapers across the 10 ASEAN countries. This has been published in 27 newspapers on India's 69th Republic Day. It's written in 10 ASEAN languages and marks the ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit. India's External Affairs Ministry tweeted to call it an exceptional gesture of friendship nurtured by shared culture and civilizational links. The Prime Minister writes about the ASEAN leaders attending India's Republic Day celebrations, and its headline, I quote from the editorial, "This is no ordinary event. It is a historic milestone in a remarkable journey that has brought India and ASEAN in a deepening partnership of great promise for their 1.9 billion people, about 1/4 of humankind," end quote. The Prime Minister goes on to say, at 70, India exudes the spirit, enterprise and energy of its young population as the fastest growing major economy in the world. India has become the new frontier of global opportunities, of stability of the global economy. With every passing day, it is easier and smoother to do business in India. I hope that ASEAN nations, as our neighbors and friends, will be an integral part of New India's transformation. The Prime Minister ended the editorial by saying, I quote, "Indians have always looked east to see the nurturing sunrise and the light of opportunities. Now, as before, the East or the Indo-Pacific region will be indispensable to India's future and our common destiny. ASEAN-India partnership will play a defining role in both, and in Delhi, ASEAN and India renewed their pledge for the journey ahead," end quote. Among the 27 newspapers are Cambodia's Phnom Penh Post, Indonesia's Jakarta Post, in Vietnam News, in Myanmar Aline, as well as in Singapore's Straits Times and the Tamil Murasu in Singapore. Joining me on the broadcast this evening is my colleague, WION senior correspondent Raghavendra Rao, to talk more about that first. Raghavendra, the first time the Indian Prime Minister has made a gesture such as this, I guess it's only further commitment of making the Look East policy go beyond just that.
Absolutely, Aisha, and for years and years altogether, India always talked about a Look East policy, and ever since Prime Minister Narendra Modi took charge at the helm, he has been talking of transforming that Look East policy into an Act East policy. And from whatever we have been witnessing in the past few weeks and months, and now these 10 heads of state of ASEAN nations in coming to India's Republic Day celebrations, clearly India is now finally embarking on an Act East policy, and it is clearly reflective in the way the Modi government is going about it. Also the fact that the Prime Minister is reaching out in a major way, the fact that he has written an op-ed piece which has been published in multiple publications, as many as 27 of them in these 10 countries, in their respective languages. It's a major reach-out effort as far as India is concerned. Prime Minister has talked about the centuries-old ties India has shared with these countries and has expressed hope about how ASEAN countries and India can further cement their relationship and take this forward in a way which is beneficial both to India as well as to each of these countries.
Right.
So clearly India aggressively pushing its Act East policy finally.
Absolutely. And of course, this bloc has often been seen as resistance to China's, hegemony in the region. And the choice of words by the Prime Minister in that editorial, mentioning specifically the Indo-Pacific region, where we've seen even the United States stressing on the fact that India needs to be the country that pulls its weight as far as the Indo-Pacific region goes. An interesting choice in that sense.
Absolutely, and the fact that the Prime Minister has chosen to use these words, and also the given geopolitical scenario we have been witnessing, China continues to exert its dominance in the South China area and clearly continues to be a very, very dominating force in this region where most of these ASEAN nations are located. Clearly, India has been trying to measure up to China. clearly, India is also trying to, exert its influence and trying to become a power and also a rallying point of sorts around which other countries can rally around. And all of this, it adds up to that growing stature and influence which India has been acquiring over the past few years.